First Majestic has a new feather in their cap when it comes to major assets. As pretty well all of our viewers know, the company earlier this year acquired Gatos Silver and their flagship asset, the Los Gatos Mine, in a transaction valued at 970 million US dollars. Well, we previously did a video on that transaction. We didn't get too far into the weeds on the asset itself. Given it's now a major aspect of First Majestic's portfolio, we figured what better time than now to take a closer look. Let's dive in. As a refresher, the Los Gatos Mine came into First Majestic's portfolio on January 16th of 2025, when the company closed the acquisition of Gatos Silver in an all-stock transaction that was first announced in September of 2024. While operated by First Majestic, the asset is technically in a joint venture arrangement, with First Majestic holding a 70% interest in the JV, and the remainder held by Dowa Metals and Mining Co., which is a Japanese refiner and mining conglomerate whose history dates back to the late 1800s. Well, the majority of First Majestic's other mines are focused on producing silver and some gold into doré bars. Los Gatos is a bit different. Los Gatos produces high silver-bearing lead and zinc concentrates that also contain lower levels of gold and copper. To get a sense of the size of the operation here, on a 100% basis, the mine is expected to produce 13 to 13.9 million silver equivalent ounces, making it one of the largest primary silver mines globally. On an attributable basis, Los Gatos is expected to contribute 9.1 to 9.7 million silver equivalent ounces for First Majestic in 2025, which includes 5.6 to 6 million ounces of silver, which again represents 70% of expected production from the Los Gatos mine. Los Gatos is also the lowest cost operation within First Majestic's portfolio, with cash costs on a silver equivalent basis estimated to be in the range of $11.14 to $11.56 an ounce in 2025, while AISC is expected to be between $14.62 and $15.13 an ounce. Across all operations, First Majestic is expecting cash costs of $13.94 to $14.37 an ounce, alongside an AISC range of $18.11 to $18.79 an ounce. The bottom line is, Los Gatos is a really profitable mine at current silver prices. Found 120 kilometers to the south of Chihuahua City in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico, the Los Gatos underground mine complex was constructed in 2018, after initial discovery back in 2008 and officially commissioned midway through 2019. The mine itself is found within a massive land package consisting of 18 titled concessions, which cover roughly 103,000 hectares of land. The complex consists of two major deposits, referred to as the CLG and ester deposits. CLG is an intermediate sulfidation epithermal vein/breccia system, with mineralization characterized by silver, lead, zinc, and copper sulfides, along with traces of gold and other minerals associated with quartz and calcite veins. The veins here vary in thickness and reach up to 25 meters thick. The deposit consists of steeply to shallowly dipping mineralized chutes at depth, with mineralization of economic interest known to extend for at least 1,800 meters along strike. The entire ore-controlling fault system, meanwhile, is known to extend for at least 8 kilometers, and the land package covers an additional 40 kilometers along the projection of the major northwest by southeast feature. Prior to coming into First Majestic's ownership, the deposit here was defined by 249,000 meters of surface drilling and 98,000 meters of underground drilling across over 1,600 holes. The ester deposit, meanwhile, is an undeveloped mineral resource, controlled by a secondary fault located 4 kilometers to the southwest of the CLG deposit. The ester resource represents upside to the district life of mine. It is also interpreted as an indication of the presence of mineralization outside the main fault for exploration upside. In terms of production, from initial production in 2019 through to the first half of 2024, a total of 4.5 million tons of ore was milled at Los Gatos. Over that roughly 5-year time frame, grades at the mine averaged 296 grams per ton silver, 0.34 grams per ton gold, 4% zinc, and 2% lead. The operation has a solid track record of having beat its forecasted production consistently over multiple quarters in its recent history. By the end of 2024, processing capacity sat at 3,500 tons per day, after the mine was initially designed for a capacity of 2,500 tons per day. The plant here uses a conventional design and flotation process, with the flow sheet consisting of a crushing and grinding circuit to feed a flotation plant that has both lead and zinc flotation circuits, lead and zinc concentrate thickening, and tailings thickening to produce both a zinc and lead concentrate. In the first half of 2025, under First Majestic's direction, the mine on a 100% basis managed to produce 6.7 million silver equivalent ounces, including 4.2 million ounces of silver and 2,100 ounces of gold, with processing rates nearing the 3,700 ton per day mark and recoveries of nearly 89%. On an attributable basis, this translated to 4.7 million silver equivalent ounces for First Majestic, and led to guidance being raised fairly significantly in July of 2025 from an initial 8.4 to 9.4 million silver equivalent ounce range to 9.1 to 9.7 million silver equivalent ounces. This is a 6% increase on midpoint basis, while cash cost estimates improved as well, declining by 8% and with AISC estimates declining by 4% on a midpoint basis. At the same time, First Majestic also outlined a long-term objective of achieving and sustaining a throughput level of 4,000 tons per day at Los Gatos. Clearly, the integration is going well and the operation continues to thrive under First Majestic's direction. So what about the reserves and resources of Los Gatos? Well, Los Gatos has a 10-year life of mine. As per latest figures provided at the end of March, at a 70% basis, Los Gatos is estimated to contain proven and probable reserves of 6.96 million tons at average grades of 162 grams per ton silver, 0.21 grams per ton gold, 0.21% copper, 2.05% lead, and 3.83% zinc, for a silver equivalent grade of 326 grams per ton. In terms of contained metal, this translates to 36.2 million ounces of silver, 48,000 ounces of gold, 32 million pounds of copper, 314 million pounds of lead, and 587 million pounds of zinc, for total silver equivalent proven and probable reserves of 72.9 million ounces. Again, all of this is on an attributable basis. The figure is based on measured and indicated resources of 6.29 million tons at an average grade of 404 grams per ton silver equivalent, with contained metal of 81.6 million silver equivalent ounces. Inferred resources here, meanwhile, amount to 1.9 million tons at 258 grams per ton silver equivalent, containing 16.1 million silver equivalent ounces. This is all based on drilling done, covering about 5% of the 103,000 hectare land package. Those reserves are currently estimated to support a mine life well into the future. The technical report released by Gatos Silver last October with an effective date of July 1st, 2024, outlined that the mine at $23 per ounce silver is expected to produce on a 100% basis, on average 6.1 million silver ounces a year throughout the remaining life of mine, with average annual cash flow of $80 million US, translating to a post-tax net present value of $539 million based on a 5% discount rate. Now let's move that to $30 an ounce silver. That NPV on a 100% basis is estimated to rise to $760 million, while the free cash flow climbs to $111. Things get even better at $35 an ounce silver, with free cash flow rising to $136 million and the post-tax net present value jumping to nearly $1 billion at $935 million. Which, in a roundabout way, may tell you where First Majestic expects the price of silver to go on a long-term basis, and how much exploration upside there is on the property considering their purchase price. That NAV figure, of course, also excludes the potential that the larger Los Gatos project hosts. While only one deposit is currently being mined on site, as we previously mentioned, another deposit has been identified. But there's also more exploration potential outside of the CLG and ester deposits. For instance, initial exploration on the property was centered around the Amapola area, 12 kilometers to the north-northwest of the CLG deposit. Historical commentary on Gatos Silver outlines that a resource on Amapola once existed. The presence of a resource in secondary structures and outside CLG ester, as well as multiple mineralization and alteration showings, underscores the district's prospectivity. Exploration to date has focused on the definition of Cerro Los Gatos, leaving First Majestic a multitude of targets to test. A total of 11 mineralized zones have been identified as being present across the property, meaning there's plenty of potential for further discovery. And First Majestic isn't slacking on the opportunity here. On a planned 255,000 meters of drilling for their entire portfolio this year, 54,000 meters of drilling are earmarked for Los Gatos. Perhaps First Majestic's recent track record of discoveries is a sign of what is to come at Los Gatos. Ongoing exploration is focused on testing for potential expansion at the Northwest Deeps, Central Deeps, and Southeast Deeps targets, while taking the first steps towards exploring the broader land package in search of new ore bodies. We saw the first results from that exploration program released in early September, and while the preliminary results point to the program being a big success. Significant silver and base metal mineralization was encountered across all three of the zones that were tested, with highlight results of 366 grams per ton silver equivalent over 9 meters, 711 grams per ton silver equivalent over 8 meters, 534 grams per ton silver equivalent over 3.7 meters, and 713 grams per ton silver equivalent over 6.9 meters. Drilling at the southeast deeps extended mineralization along plunge in the southeast portion of the vein system, extending the known limits of the zone and confirming continuity of the system. While drilling at the central and northwest deep zones confirmed silver and base metal mineralization at depth, while also identifying a faulted offset from the main Los Gatos deposit, with strike remaining open to the northwest. First Majestic CEO Keith Neumeyer commented that a major driver for the acquisition of Los Gatos was the major exploration upside for the entire district. And while early, these first results are expected to support meaningful resource growth at the property. Alright, so let's wrap it up. Los Gatos is, by all accounts, a strong addition to the portfolio of First Majestic. It seemed to check all the boxes that First Majestic is typically after. Major silver production, cash flowing, and seemingly endless potential for life of mine and production expansion. And the extremely low cost profile is a nice benefit as well. In an increasingly consolidated and consolidating silver industry, the acquisition appears to have been a sound and well-timed one, boosting First Majestic's production and cash flow profile at a time when investors can't get enough of this precious metal. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Also, if you want more stories like these, please let us know which ones in the comment section. Alright everybody, thanks for watching.